Hi, I'm Shannon. Today I want to talk to you, especially if you are new to Classical Conversations, about some things I believe will be really helpful for you to know as you start out your school year. So the first thing is when you look at the Classical Conversations bookstore and think about what you should buy, it can be kind of overwhelming. There's a lot of options and they're all great, I'm sure, but you don't need to buy everything. You actually need to buy very little to start out. So if you want to keep the costs low, keep things simple, especially if your kids are really young when you start out, I would encourage you just to buy a few things. So the things you absolutely need to buy are this Foundations Guide that you will find on the Classical Conversations bookstore. I'll link below in the description exactly where to find that. And this is awesome. You'll use it for many, many years as you go through Foundations. It has the 3 cycles, all the memory work that you go over each cycle, and lots more resources. So, number 1, you need this for sure. Number 2 is you need a tin whistle. So here is one of my tin whistles. See if I can get it out. There we go. So tin whistle, I got these fun little cases. I found them on Etsy. I'll link below if you're curious. I got one for myself and my 2 daughters. So you do need that because every cycle in fine arts you learn about the tin whistle, how to play it for 6 weeks. So you definitely need that. So those are the only 2 things you really need though, are the Foundations Guide and the tin whistle. Now some other things I would encourage to buy if you are willing to get a couple more things is first, I would invest in these CDs. So this next cycle coming up is cycle 1. So I got the cycle 1 audio CDs. You get a weekly audio, so the memory work for each week. You get a timeline CD, and it has more than just the timeline song, but it definitely has the timeline song. And a subject CD that'll have like all the history songs, Latin songs, and the memory work for the other subjects. So you might be thinking, CDs, we don't really use CDs anymore. Yeah, so what I do is I get the CDs, I have a converter where I can put the CD in a CD player, connect it to my computer, and it imports all the music to your computer. And then I put it on my phone after it's on my computer. That way I can play it in our car, and it's on my computer so I can play it at home when we're cleaning up or when I'm cooking. We play these songs in our car all the time. And my kids, right now my kids are 5 and 3, and I have a little baby too, but he's still really little. But the 5-year-old knows pretty much all the history songs completely, just from listening to them in the car. It's pretty amazing. So great, easy way to learn a lot of the memory work. So I would invest in these. If you don't have any way to use a CD, I know there is an app that you can download on your phone, I believe, and it has the songs. I just use the CDs, and I used to have a CD player in my car, so I don't anymore, but I'm just used to these. So I still get these, but I know there's other ways to get them too. For sure there's an app that you can get, and I believe that's on the bookstore too. I'll link below the CD and the app that you can get to. The next thing I would strongly encourage buying, if you can, are these placemats for the cycle. So these are the cycle 1 placemats. There are 2 of them. You can see one has more of the world on it and one has the Africa, Middle East, Europe area. So I put these on our table, and then especially at breakfast time, we talk about them all the time. So it's so easy. We're eating breakfast, we can look at the places we learned about that week, we can sing a little song if we learned a little song to help us remember those places. Super easy way to review geography. So I would strongly encourage investing in those. I would also think about getting the timeline card. So you definitely don't need these, especially if you're just starting out, but they're awesome. So there are 4 sets of these. This is the first set. You can see here's like the first few. This is actually starting at card 8 because I have the other ones I'm getting ready for our first week. But there's 4 sets of these cards, and so like the second set is called Medieval World, and then there's 2 more sets. So a lot of cards, but you will go through all 4 sets with the timeline song each year. And so if you want to review the timeline song at home, these are fun visual. You can put them on the wall. You can just, have them at the table as you sing through the song. It's just a fun visual for it. And then as your kids get older, they could you could mix them up and they could put them in the right order, or they could try to hang a bunch of them on the wall and see if they could figure out the right order for them. So there's lots of cool options. I'm a tutor with Classical Conversations too, so I also use them a lot in our with my little group during our community day. So I like that I have them. Definitely don't need them, but if you're planning on staying with Classical Conversations, it might be something that you want to invest in. I also wanted to share with you some really helpful resources to get that will just benefit you this year, and you can prepare now so you're not worrying about it as the school year starts. The first thing is the Sandbox e-zine, or e-zine, I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to say it. So this you get to by going to CC Connected, and I have another video I'll link below that I show really detailed how you get to that and how you find different things. So what I did is I went to that and I printed out the stuff that I thought we would use for each week, and I actually did all 24 weeks just because I like to prep ahead of time. And so for example, the first page I printed, it looks like this, and then I just printed the different pages that I thought my kids would use. Like this is the history activity, science, then we have a skip counting page. So again, I have a video I'll link below that I show actually how to get to that on the computer, where to go, where to find all these pages. But I would utilize that Sandbox and all the materials they have in there. CC Connected can be a little overwhelming if you've never used it before and you're like, there's all these resources, but I don't know what I need. So there's a lot of stuff I didn't use or don't feel the need to look at, but the Sandbox I love to download for each week and print off the pages that I believe that we will use. And then I put them in a binder, then I have them for each week. I pull them out for that particular week and make copies, so I have like a blank copy that I can save, and then I'll have this for future years. But anyway, I would definitely check that out and check out my video below if you're like, I have no idea how to get to that, because I go in detail on how to find all those things. The next thing I would definitely print out are these fridge facts. So they look like this. You can find these on CC Connected too, and I'll write in the description exactly how to do that. But these are awesome. I haven't done it yet, but I'm planning on laminating them. There's one for each week, so this is actually week 13 because they're not in order, I guess. But you can see they have the timeline pictures above, and then they have like a little picture and the memory work for each subject. So these are obviously visually appealing and just an easy way to have the week's memory work handy as you're reviewing at home. So I just kind of keep these on my kitchen table, and then when we're eating meals, usually that's when I have my kids' attention, we'll go through some of the memory work. So I would recommend printing these. Again, I'll link down in the description, exactly how to find them, but you find them through CC Connected. And then also, I would recommend looking into these flashcards that you can find on Etsy. So you do pay a small fee for them, but they're beautiful. So Kimberly Veely makes them. This is an example of one from the Bible memory work. This is an example of one from geography memory work. She has all the subjects. So here we've got history, an example. These are from cycle 1 because I'm preparing for this upcoming year. Noun cases, that's Latin. And then we've got science and English. So this is just an example from each subject. I don't think these are all from the first week. I just grabbed an example from each subject. So, but she has one for each week, for each subject. And so it's not that much to pay for just a beautiful visual. And so what I do is I laminate these. I have these at home. I put them on our wall, the ones for each subject for the week. So we just can look at that. And when we're practicing the memory work, we see that, and it's just a nice visual. So I really like those, like having those, and her work is really beautiful. I also love getting these. So these are coloring pages for the memory work, and these are by Amy Snyder Design. You can find these on Etsy, and I'll link below where to find them. But they're beautiful. I usually print out, you pay a fee for the whole collection for the cycle. And then I usually print out the science one for my kids to color, and the history one, and sometimes math, and sometimes geography, just depending on what kind of time I feel like we have and how much I like it. But I just like having a little coloring page. I print these off and take to my tutoring group too during our community day. But I also let my kids color them at home. It's a great way to just talk about the memory work while coloring and just enjoying it that way. And we can listen to a little song as we color. So all great things, great way to learn the memory work. So I would recommend investing in those if your kids like to color. The last thing I would recommend investing in is this Foundations of the Bible Study by Driven by Grace. So I have used her Bible study for the past 2 years with my kids. There's also an activity book for the kids, so a book for you and a book for your kids. I love it. She gears it towards all ages, and it just expands on the Bible memory work that Classical Conversations already has. So it goes along with each week with Classical Conversations, because they have Bible work or Bible memory work too. I don't know if you knew that, but they do. So I would recommend investing in this if you want to do a Bible study with your kids that's related to the Classical Conversations curriculum. It's really awesome. She's done a beautiful job, and I'll link below where you can find these as well. Now I want to talk about just kind of what you can expect during Community Day if you're new and have never done this before. So we meet once a week. I think pretty much every community meets once a week, one morning a week. The older kids stay the rest of the afternoon, but the little kids just go through lunchtime. And first we meet as a big group. So there's, different smaller groups that are based on age, but right when we get there in the morning, we meet as a big group, and our director leads us in a devotional reading, prayer. We say the Pledge of Allegiance and the Pledge to the Bible together. She says any announcements that she needs to. We'll celebrate anybody's birthday. Also, there's a family presentation each week, which is awesome. So families rotate, and each week a different family shares about something. There's a lot of freedom in what they want to share. Like families have shared about favorite games they like to play, or favorite books they like to read, or a trip they went on recently. So that's awesome, and just a fun way to get to know different families in your community. Then after that big group time, we break into smaller age-based groups. So there are the abecedarians, which are 4 and 5 year olds, and then the apprentices, which are 6 and 7, the journeymen, which are 8 and 9, and then the masters, which are the older 10 and 11 year olds. So we'll break into smaller groups of those ages, and the tutors will go over the new grammar or the memory work with their small group. So this means that, we'll learn a little bit about history, science, math, Latin, English, and we'll go over the timeline events that we're learning about that week too. So we'll do, a few minutes going over each one of those. As a tutor, I love to teach the kids little songs, do a little game that relates to the memory work. Sometimes we say the memory work of, science, for example, to a silly voice, or do a fun action while we do it. So the goal of the tutors is just to make it really fun and introduce that material to the parents and the kids so they can expand on that the rest of the week. Also during that time, this is one of my favorite parts of Classical Conversations, is the kids give a presentation. It's so great. They give a presentation each week about a different topic, so they're talking in front of the other kids and parents in our little class, and that is such an amazing skill for them to get. To watch how my daughter was the first day she started doing this to the last week of even just the first year, her growth in her ability to talk in front of other people was huge. So I love that we do this. Oftentimes with little kids, I'll have them do their presentations towards the beginning of the new grammar time, just because they get tired, and I feel like it works better for them to kind of start with that. And then we do the new grammar. Different tutors do it differently, but you'll do that at some point during that time. And then after that, sometimes as a big group, sometimes we stay in our smaller group, we'll do a science experiment each week and some kind of fine arts each week. So the fine arts includes the tin whistle, like I said before, learning about artists, composers, learning about orchestra and the different instruments in the orchestra. Awesome stuff that I would not do a great job including by myself. So that's one of the reasons I'm very thankful for just the community part of this, to help get those pieces in that I wouldn't necessarily think about. One tip I would say after the community day time, I would highly encourage you, if you can, to stay for lunch. It's such a great way to build community with your group. It's fun, the kids love it, they get to play with the other kids, and obviously you need to eat, so win-win-win. I sometimes have to get back home because my kids are just shot and need a nap. But if you have a little bit older kids, or if your kids do better, going a little bit longer than mine do, then I would very much encourage that. The next thing I wanted to share is, what does it look like at home? So you have community day, and then you have the rest of the week. What are you supposed to do? So it's really simple. You really don't need to do any more than the memory work, especially when your kids are really young. At some point, you'll probably want to bring in some kind of math curriculum and maybe some reading or language arts, but besides that, you really just need the memory work, because it's teaching them history, science, English, Latin, math, skip counting, stuff like that. It's so good. The curriculum is so awesome. You really don't need to worry about anymore. So during the week, I like to check out library books that relate to some of the memory work we're learning. Love that because it's so important to read with your kids. I love to make a playlist of the songs. So some of the songs Classical Conversations already created, and they're on those audio CDs I mentioned. Some of the songs the tutor might make a little jingle or something to help you remember some of the memory work that Classical Conversations didn't already make a song for. So I like to make all those songs into a playlist for each week. And then when we're cleaning up from breakfast or, other times during the day, I can just play that playlist and we're hearing, there's the history song this week. There's the science song that our tutor created for us. There's, obviously you might be a little bit difficult to do that if you don't have the tutor's jingle on some kind of on your phone or something, but you could, if you remember it, you could sing it yourself. I'm also making songs each week, so if you follow along with my videos, you'll see I'm making geography, science, and English songs each week, so if those are helpful, you can use those. Also, as I said before, we use the placemats during mealtime, so just talked about the geography memory work. And I love finding puzzles and games that relate to what we're learning, because it's just a great way to talk about it and also be having fun together too, which is what this should be all about, right? So that's what the home time can look like. Really, really simple. The last things I would say are to trust the process. So when your kids are little, it's a lot of memorization. But when your kids are older, they'll have all that information in their mind, and then they'll be able to really dive deep into it and develop a really great understanding of some of those key concepts that they're learning about. So trust the process. It works. It's been proven over and over again. Kids have graduated from classical conversations and been extremely successful. So trust the process. And then also field trips. Your community should go on field trips, and it's such a great opportunity to build community and to just have fun learning in a different way. So I hope this video was helpful for you, especially if you're new to classical conversations. Please comment below if you have any questions about anything I shared or want me to explain anything further. Also, if you've enjoyed my video, please subscribe to my channel. I'm posting 2 videos per week about homeschooling help, parenting tips, and some health-related things. So please follow along, and blessings to you on this homeschooling journey.